The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Welcome to Insights. I'm Sherry Stewart. Today we're talking about coronavirus and the emotional toll this pandemic is having on our day-to-day lives. Over the past week, life as we know it has changed significantly with restrictions on everything to dine-in services at our favorite local restaurants and pubs being restricted, as well as children being home from school. In the state of Michigan, we know that they are home at least until April 5th from the classroom. I actually saw a headline the other day that one state is even considering keeping children out of the classroom physically until the end of the academic school year. So we know that that is several more months to come. So we'll be talking about that emotional toll, how we actually maneuver that as adults. And later in the broadcast, we'll be talking with a local pastor about how our faith-based community has had to alter and adjust their services so that they can still meet the needs of their congregation. So we'll be talking about all that today. But first up to bat is my friend here, Carlene Chakutski with Partners in Prevention. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hi, Sherry. It's glad to be here.
So I know the last time we talked, Carlene, we were talking about childhood trauma and how we maneuver that. But this is a little bit of an offshoot of that, what we're dealing with today with children home from school for an extended period of time. What are the resources that parents can access in order to be the best for their children? Because this is a significant life adjustment for all of us.
It is, and what's important to remember as adults is that with the constant news cycle about the risks and the dangers, our children are being exposed to a lot of potentially very frightening information. And children are great observers and poor interpreters. So we, as the adults in their lives, need to be sure that they feel safe and that they feel protected. And so letting them talk about what they're feeling, being patient with them, and regulating ourselves as well. The television doesn't need to be on 24/7. And keeping children busy, their whole life is upside down now, and so our lives as well. And we need to really make sure that we're providing routines. That's one of the best things with children when things are in upheaval, and for us as adults. These are suggestions that are good across the board. How can you maintain a routine? How can you reduce the exposure to the potentially scary and frightening information?
And let's talk about the routine a little bit. I know that many people are having to adjust their work schedule, obviously, if they have children that they have to be at home with. And some people were already telecommuting, so that's no big deal. But when you actually now don't have the choice as an adult, so maybe you're mandated to be home because of this for health reasons, of course. So how do adults maneuver that? Would you recommend them maneuver that? You have your work to do and you also have to help your children. I guess in effect we're probably homeschooling now. I know many have been sent home with packets and lesson plans and all of that, but how as an adult now you have another job to do. So how would you recommend they maneuver that?
I think making schedules is really important, and not just in your head and not just on your tablet or on your iPad, because you really need to have the kids involved in making the schedule, and everything you can do to involve them in decision making. Again, it helps them feel a little bit in control. It helps them feel safer because, well, we aren't just letting everything go. We're making a schedule and we're maneuvering that way. If there are older siblings who can help somewhat with the younger ones, that's good. If there are two adults or more in the household, sharing that can also help as well. It's really important at a time like this when there's so much uncertainty.
Right.
We don't deal well with uncertainty as adults.
Yeah. We think that we do.
We want to control.
Because we should be in control because we're the adult.
Right. And so really looking at that sense that we have of wanting control and thinking about, well, maybe what I really want is a sense of hope and a positive influence, an idea that what I do matters. And children need that as well.
Right.
So giving them chores to do that contribute to keeping everything going well, helping them maybe, make a game out of this somehow in terms of a conductor and a train or whatever your creative imagination. There are many, many websites available that have virtual zoo visits, museum visits.
I saw that. That's what I was going to say. I think this is an opportunity that we can make really good use of our internet access. It's a good time to read a book. Maybe we can write a book. This is a good time to really be creative. And as you say, make some fun out of it, not making light of the situation because certainly it is serious and we're making these adjustments so that we can preserve health, but also making it interactive and educational for the parent as the adult.
And so, the time, quiet times, study times, maybe give the adults a chance to work on their information.
Right.
But letting kids know that what everyone does at a time like this really matters.
Sure.
Perhaps drawing pictures or writing cards and then mailing them to a nursing home.
Oh, I like that.
Or some
That's a great
other
idea.
care facility, just to be able to know that you're reaching out. And for children, having that sense that they can make a difference, they can help someone else. We don't like being challenged with being out of control.
Right. We don't like that feeling.
And so the sense is to think about we're problem solvers, but we can't solve this problem.
No. Yeah.
We can't do anything to lessen it other than follow the precautions, which
Absolutely.
doesn't seem like a lot to us. So thinking about what part of our identity is being challenged and why that bothers us. Why is it difficult? What pain are we experiencing knowing that we can't do everything we want to do? We can't be on the job right now.
Are those questions, Carlene, that we should, that the adults can answer or ask ourselves as well as the children? Is that something that everybody can?
This is an adult activity.
Okay.
To keep the adults being really grounded and firm. When we are in a situation like this, as we've seen, we desperately look for anything we can control.
Because we want that normal.
Even if it's futile, like stocking up on a bazillion rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah.
We think that's something we control, and so that behavior, there's something underneath that behavior, and so focusing on what we can control sends us in a direction that's not necessarily helpful. Dr. McGonigal, who wrote a book called The Upside of Stress, says that instead we won't need to focus on what we choose to do in this situation. What choices do I make that are in line with my values and my personal goals? Because when this is all over, what's going to be lasting and what we're going to remember and what the children are going to remember is how we treated one another.
Well, that's a good point. We're going to hold it right there, and we will come back and pick up this conversation about how we can maneuver this emotionally, how we can stay in control of our emotions and be good stewards of all that's been laid at our feet. This is Insights. We'll be back with this conversation right after this. Welcome back to Insights. Today we are continuing our conversation with Carlene Chakutski with Partners in Prevention, talking about the coronavirus pandemic and how we are able to maneuver this and stay in control of our emotions as we have children home from school, we're home from work. You were talking at the break about an author and some of their recommendations. Let's pick up that conversation.
Okay. Dr. Kathy Kelly McGonigal is a therapist, and she's saying that we really need to just look at the fact that we don't like not being in control.
We sure don't.
And in a time of uncertainty like this, we have to maybe get to a point of being able to surrender that
That's a
what
bad
we-
word.
Well, it
For
can
some
be,
people.
but when you think about a battle being waged, and
Yeah.
and this whole situation is being characterized as a war,
It is,
and
yeah.
we may be in a battle with our own feelings and emotions, and feeling sort of helpless and hopeless.
Yeah.
But we have to see that we can do our best,
Right.
and we can't do it all. And that this is bigger than me. And so I'm talking about just surrendering to that concept that I can do my best, I can't do it all, I didn't cause this, I can't
And I
control
think that's
it.
really key, that we can't do it all. And I think because we're so used to multitasking, and we work from home, we raise the children, we do all of these things. And I think when we get to a place where we can't do all that, like you say, it's bigger than me. You didn't cause it. You can only do your best.
And in a home where you have parents working, and you've probably been on a really tight schedule with after-school activities and everything, this is a whole world sea change here.
It is.
Now we don't have to be somewhere. We don't. So how do we manage that? And part of it is just breathe. Just breathe. Realize that we don't have to be running around like we usually do. There's time. There's not those outside interferences that really sometimes get in the way of good
Right.
quality family time.
They
So
do, yeah.
the good quality family time can come back, and you can still maneuver and manage time for your work, and quiet time for the children. Deep breathing, walks outdoors,
Right.
and that's good for the kids.
It
Avoiding
is.
too much media. Have a few reliable sources. I'd like to recommend Michigan.gov coronavirus, which has all of our local, state updates, and then there's CDC.gov
Right.
coronavirus that has all the national information. If you check those morning and evening, you've got what you need. You don't need to be bombarded constantly with perhaps sensationalized coverage or the repetition, and that's not good for the kiddos either.
Let me ask you this, Carlene. Do you foresee that once we come out of this, whenever that may be, and certainly we hope that is much sooner than later, do you foresee that just by chance families will, come out of this adjustment that we've had to make very quickly, that, we actually like spending a lot more quiet time. We actually like not maybe, spending so much money on entertainment, and we actually like, sitting at home playing the board games. So you actually see us transitioning into a new normal, if you will. Do you think that's even possible?
I think it's very possible, but it has to be our will. We have to really look at this, which is a cohort experience. It's an adversity that's not limited to one area of the country, or
Right.
even to one country. This
Right.
is a worldwide
It is.
experience of adversity. It's even different than hurricanes or floods, because those tend to be geographically
Right.
centered. So we have a lot that we can learn from this.
We do.
And see how much better we can make it. If we have a generosity of spirit, if we have kindness, and if we look at some real compassion and hope, and again, remembering that when this is all done, the memories that we're going to have about this horrible time is going to be, did we make good use of it? Did we enjoy one another? Did we slow down the pace? Did we help our children learn some new ways of entertaining themselves other than screen time? Again, just to refer a resource, the American Pediatric Association, healthychildren.org.
Okay.
Easy enough to remember.
Okay.
Healthychildren.org has lots of great suggestions on there that are, of course, developmentally appropriate. And what you do with children varies from age group to age group, but from the National Center for National Children's Traumatic Stress Center, for each developmental stage, the first thing they say is patience, listening to the children, answering their questions in age-appropriate ways, and remaining a good role model yourself. So we can do this.
I believe that we can do this. Although it's bigger than us, but I do believe that collectively, and as you say, tapping into those wonderful online resources, that we can do this, that I think we will come out of this better than what we're probably anticipating.
And when the day that this airs, there will be some additional resources on our Facebook page.
Okay, and what is that?
Facebook.com/Northeast Michigan www.nsite.org/posts.
Okay, wonderful.
And we always have a lot of good information there from good, reliable sources, and people can take advantage of that.
Well, we certainly hope that they do. And are there some more resources for our adults, anything else that adults can do for themselves so that they keep themselves healthy, so that they can give the best to their children?
Well, your usual practice that you might have of meditation and prayer, eating healthy, and sticking to a good sleep schedule. Sleep is so important and so underrated sometimes by people. So even with our children getting good sleep, maybe changing sleep arrangements for the time being if there's some questioning in the house about is it safe, and realizing that at a time like this, it's normal to be anxious. It's normal to, feel kind of out of your element, and talk about that with other people. We've got telephones, we've got email, we have lots of ways to keep connected. Start a three-way call with some people from work that you miss seeing. Those kinds of things that we can do kind of to take charge of the situation, other than buying toilet paper. That's about feeling we need something desperately to be in control, and there's a lot of other things that we can do creatively to help make this situation better.
Well, we're so glad that you were here today to kick off the conversation. You've shared some really helpful resources and tips and tools for our viewers. We're hoping that they would access those so that, again, we can maneuver this as we continue on, trying to be the best that we can be and manage our emotions to the best of our ability. As you said, it is larger than any one of us, but all we can do is our best. All right. So I want to thank you, Carlene, for being first up at bat. We will continue this conversation. Next up, we will be speaking with a local pastor talking about how our faith-based community has made adjustments so that they can continue to meet the needs of their congregation. You're watching Insights. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Insights. I'm Sherry Stewart. We are continuing our conversation about the coronavirus and how many institutions, including our faith-based community, has had to adjust in order to maneuver through this situation. And joining me to talk about that is Scott Joy, lead pastor of Word of Life Baptist Church in Alpena. Welcome, sir, and thank you for joining me.
Good to be here.
So I know, Pastor, that as a part of the faith-based community, we rely on our faith, the Word of God, to make daily life decisions. But this is something totally different here. You've had to actually adjust how you held service this past Sunday. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, it's a different day right now, so we're adjusting. We feel very blessed. We've had an online service that we've been doing for a number of years, but with all that's happened with the social distancing, we decided it was best to cancel our in-person services and weekday programs and activities. So for the time being, for the next number of weeks, we are completely in online ministry.
Now, what was the congregation's reaction to that?
So far, everyone has understood. I think between what's happening on the federal level, government here in the state of Michigan, people are well aware of different, everyone has different extremes of what they see as appropriate, but overall it's been very positive.
Okay. Now, what do you think this will do to our new normal, if you will? So my previous guest, we were talking about that people may come to understand that maybe we do need to spend a little bit more time together, and certainly not making light of the situation, but as we adjust to a new normal, what do you think might happen as we go forward?
Well, I think people are realizing quickly the value of relationships.
That's very key. That's important.
I think people are realizing that part of showing care to others is respecting the danger that can be out there if we are caring. So I think that's motivated a lot of people, that one of the ways we show care and love for those around us is keeping our distance.
And taking care of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, very much, which sounds almost opposite of what you would normally think, but
Right.
that's the normal right now.
Yeah, I know there's something in faith-based community, we can't pour out of an empty cup. So it really is important that we take those necessary precautions to take, as you say, take care of ourselves, and that's being a good neighbor.
Yeah, absolutely.
What types of online resources do you have? Do you have Bible study online? Do you really see vamping up your online ministry as we maneuver these next couple weeks?
Yeah, utilizing all the technology we can. We have, for instance, last night there was one of our men's groups. They met in kind of a teleconference way, so they try to continue as normal as possible, just not together. Our student ministry to our junior and senior high students has completely moved online. They've put content, some humor, some study in God's Word.
Sure.
But our youth pastor has done all of that online. So trying to find, like you said, normal, even though it's a different normal.
It is a different normal for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I think this is a time when we can really use our technology and social media for the
Yes.
better good. This is an opportunity to really do that.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. Even communication tools. I sent a short video I made for a lot of our team leaders just to keep them up to date and informed so we're all on the same page. The video allows us to make it a little bit more personal than just an email. So we're very thankful for those tools.
Now, what would you say to, I've seen some headlines where smaller congregations, maybe those startup churches, they're concerned about giving because, we do, bring tithes and offerings
Yeah.
and other contributions. Do you see this having a significantly negative impact as we have to move to online services in some instances?
Well, the potential is definitely there, but we're confident that people give for the right reasons, and that's not based on circumstances. So in our church, for instance, we've said there's 3 ways they can give online.
And some people do that automatically.
Right.
This wouldn't have impacted what they
Right.
were already doing.
And that's a way of life for most people, especially younger generation.
Yeah.
But people can send it in the good old-fashioned snail mail, as well as in the just inside the doors of our foyer. People can bring it into the office. So we just tried to provide those opportunities for them.
And I know this is probably speculation, but as we go forward, I know you said at least the next couple weeks that you'll be doing the online. What about programs and services that you might have had planned for later in the calendar year? Have you even considered that? Are you looking to make any type of adjustment there? We know Easter is coming up. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Easter feels longer out, but in the planning realm, it's right here at our doorstep.
It is.
So we are already talking about how we make adjustments for that. Beyond summer, I think right now we are dealing with the immediate because it's come on kind of so fast.
It is.
But we will do what we need to do to keep people safe and do our part. We really view it as the faith-based community, our churches, this is a chance to demonstrate to the community we care for them. So we're participating by refraining from being together. So as time goes on, we'll adjust programming as need be.
Now, as part of the faith-based community, is there a scripture? Is there a devotion that you recommend for your congregation or just our viewership? Is there something that you would recommend people to consider as we maneuver this time?
Yeah, there are a lot of online opportunities. Some we have to be careful of, but BibleHub.com would be a resource for studying. But I know our student ministry
Sure.
uses an online devotional that they have geared up for leading up to Easter.
Okay.
So I think any churches, if you contact them, they'll be glad to give you some links.
And a lot of these are, I guess, free downloadable resources that
Yes.
people can take
Yes.
advantage of.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess lastly, Pastor Scott, is there anything else that you would like to see happen out of this? What do you think will be the higher good? If we can look back and see that, at least there was one positive thing that came out of all of this. It has been so very difficult for a lot of different reasons. What would you like to see happen?
Well, in a nutshell, you're asking a preacher, so that could be a long answer. But
Not a sermon now.
in a nutshell, I think for the church, it's important to remind them that the church is not a service. So we, as the followers of Jesus Christ, live out our faith all day, all week long. So I think that's a good a good reminder to the church that we are more than just a service. And I hope it's a good lesson for the community as well, that people can see the peace that we have because of our faith, and that it might inspire them to investigate the peace that we can have, knowing the faith we have in Jesus.
Absolutely. Well, sir, what is your website, so that I know that you're moving again to that online service? What is a website that people can go to if they want to a fellowship with you, as you say, online as we go through these next couple weeks?
Sure, you can just go to the www.wolbc.org. Stands for Word of Life Baptist Church. And on there is a link to YouTube where we have our streaming services and the archives of other services. So, yeah, and we'd love to, if we can help people in any way, we'd love to.
All right. We want to thank you so much for coming in to share that with us, Pastor Scott. We really appreciate it. This has been Insights. Thank you for watching today. I'm Sherry Stewart.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.